Hey, good morning, everyone. So it's awesome to have Matt talk about the kind of the opportunities. So I will, in kind of legal terms, I will stipulate that's a fact, okay? And now what I'm going to do is Roy and I are going to talk about two things. One is we believe that GraphQL can be built differently, okay? That's number one. And second is touching on Matt's point on the AI opportunity. Okay, so who am I? Well, first of all, I don't like this picture, so don't take a picture and tweet it because my wife will see it and she'll say, why did you send out that picture? I look like a kind of random corporate geek, which now I am, but that's not what I want the picture to come out to be. Okay, so two things. I'm a database geek. In database terms, we used to use the term called a database weenie. I didn't even know what that was, but I was a database weenie. I am a database weenie. But then we did APIs at Apigee. And the fantastic opportunity at GraphQL, the reason we started this company called StepZen was because I was able to bring my two interests together. And what I want to just say is that there's a lot to learn from the world of databases. Not that the GraphQL is a query language. Yes, as Matt pointed out, that may be a smaller part of what it is. But the fact is databases believe in this declarative world. In the world of databases, you specify what you want done, and you leave the hard job for the database to figure out how to do it. So the question is, can we do the same thing in the world of GraphQL? And that is why a few of us, and then Roy joined us on the journey, started this. So I'm just incredibly excited to both be here, but also be on this journey with kind of bringing database techniques to the world of GraphQL. So we got acquired by IBM for the reasons that Matt talked about, which is it's an incredible opportunity for enterprises. And IBM stands for enterprise stuff. So I'm just really, really proud of that. We are all kind of doing GraphQL, but also kind of expanding GraphQL and its use within IBM and for IBM customers. So we are now called, obviously, StepZen is a very, very cute name, and IBM doesn't like to keep cute names. So it's now become API Connect Essentials with kind of 4 other adjectives. Please don't record it because I still have to keep the job. But we are API Connect Essentials, but everything that you love about StepZen is there. And now, of course, we are tightly integrated into the API story to kind of build on what Matt said, that it's a continuum. Okay, so you can, of course, sign up and do it. So the way we have thought about it is that early on in GraphQL journey, everybody loved to program every nook and cranny of the GraphQL API. Because obviously, why not, right? You can actually program every nook and cranny of this. This is how the world of databases was a long time back, where people would actually program it. And then databases came about and said, no, just do a create database. And you do a create database, and how the stuff gets laid out, you just tell us what the columns are and what the types are, and get out of the way. And we'll actually do a better job of how it gets laid out, okay? So we said that's the kind of experience that we want, not for the people who kind of wallow in all the nooks and crannies of exciting stuff and what null behavior should be, but people who want to get the job done. How is it that they can actually get quickly started? So you do a StepZen import, and you provide a backend, and the reason GraphQL I put kind of first out there is quite simply because we believe that federation and building GraphQL on top of GraphQL, all the BFFs and schemas that he showed from MuleSoft, are all part of the same thing. How you build something local versus how you build something global or federated should all be the same thing. So I hope you get to try it out. But the reason, the declarative part of it is, you're actually not building out the resolvers and all that stuff. You're basically saying this gets connected with a REST backend, and then the infrastructure kind of takes care of it. The advantage is that it's easier to build, but equally importantly, the optimizations and others happen behind the covers. Okay, and again, building on that phenomenal chart that Matt had, was with respect to the layering and et cetera, et cetera. How do you kind of take something and then build on top of it, again, in an extremely declarative way by now doing steps and import GraphQL as opposed to steps and import REST or steps and import database. And when you are at the top, you don't know how the individual components are built. It looks the same whether it's here or it's there. OK, so that's what we are extremely excited about, a new way of building on the promise of what Matt talked about. But what we also want to do is spend a few minutes on kind of an expansion part of it, which is how does GraphQL, everything that we so passionately believe in, work in the domain of AI. Go ahead, Roy. Oh, you need this? I can be your clicker if you want.
Thank you. So let's look at AI. Is any of you already building AI applications themselves? Some of you are. That's great. So I'm a firm believer, and Anant as well, that the next wave of people building or creating AI solutions aren't data scientists, aren't Python programmers per se, but are developers like any one of us. Anyone is able to build AI applications. And when you start to build AI applications, pretty soon you'll find out you'll need more than models. You can have an LLM, you can have a ChatGPT interface and type a prompt. But if you want to do something meaningful, you actually need to do a bit more. And GraphQL, because it's declarative and easy to understand for developers, it means it's also easy to understand for LLMs. So LLMs are just doing natural language, and a GraphQL schema quite often is just something anyone can read. So no matter if you're a developer or an LLM, or maybe you're someone even that has no experience building APIs, but you're just, I don't know, maybe you're a data analyst or you're working in business somewhere. So GraphQL...
Right, one more part of GraphQL that I really, really love, okay, which REST never had. GraphQL is not better than REST, it's different, okay? It's the ability to add comments. And so you can both have descriptive names of fields, okay, which can be different than the backend, so it makes it easier for LLMs, but you can annotate it with comments. And now suddenly, if you guys try it out, it's awesome once you annotate it and say, if you're looking for employee information, please use this. Please is always good to say to the LLM, and it'll do a wonderful job. OK, go ahead.
So to put this in practice, like 2 years ago when we were still StepSam, we had a dashboard which is using the GraphQL interface. And with GraphQL, you have your schema, you have a way to put your operation, and you get your response. So we figured out, what if we hook up our GraphQL schema to an LLM, and instead of needing to type your operation, you can also type a question, like give me all the posts and the ID and title for post. So if you know the schema, you can probably create your operation. You know there's a field called product, there's a field called title. But if you have LLM do this for you, you can actually generate this operation on the fly without having you go into the schema, figure out what it looks like, and type this question. So this was already 2 years ago. We've come quite far since then. So some of these principles we can also apply to more advanced generative AI use cases. So maybe you're doing prompt engineering, maybe you're doing retrieval augmented generation, or maybe you looked into tool calling or agentic workflows. GraphQL can support all those different use cases. So if you think about tool calling or agents, it all starts with a question and an answer. And to a lot of people working with an AI solution, they don't really care what's going on in between. But we as developers, we care. We like to build new stuff. We like to make sure that between the actual question and the answer, a lot of fancy things will happen. So one of the newer things we're building is an AI middleware, something that sits in between your question and the answer. So think of this as some sort of API layer that will help you to do everything you need to do when you build AI solutions. And the way this works is you have tools or you have agents. So quite often these are used interchangeably. And these all need APIs, they need document sets, they need databases. And a good way to connect to databases and APIs is using GraphQL. So we're taking some of the work we did at StepSam, bringing it into IBM, and working with all the cool products we have around data and models. You might have heard about watsonx. So we're working on a new system to turn any API or any data source for that matter into an agent or into a tool that you can then bring into your AI solution. So we're using GraphQL for this, of course, for all the reasons we mentioned, like We personally really like GraphQL, and we built a pretty cool product in our sense on top of GraphQL. And now it's time to bring all of this into the world of AI. So this AI middleware, I can quickly show you what it looks like. So we call it Flows Engine for now, but as the naming gods at IBM sometimes challenge us, we might up with a less fancier name. It's always hard to name a startup when you go to a big corporation. But it's a developer-centric solution because we are developers. We need to build AI solutions because data scientists alone, well, they're good in working with notebooks or creating fancy diagrams, but developers build the actual value in applications and integrations. So it's a way to build and deploy everything you need to build AI applications using a CLI and an SDK. And then we make it available as a GraphQL API. We also have an SDK, so if you have any friends that don't like GraphQL, they can use the SDK and get the same sort of value. So if you want to try this out, we have a QR code and this page to go to. But most of all, I hope you learn new stuff at the conference, you get building with GraphQL, and you try out what GraphQL's value is in the world of AI. So thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.